You don't begin as Aegon the Conqueror. You begin as Aegon of Dragonstone, one more Targaryen in a cold world that never asked for Valyria's leftovers. And the levels of your life aren't promotions. They're points of no return. Level 1. The Boy on the Black Rock. Dragonstone raises you the way the sea raises cliffs, by taking everything soft. Salt wind in your mouth. Ash in the mortar. Narrow halls that smell like smoke even when no torches burn. You grow up hearing old names, Valyria, Freehold, doom spoken like prayers to a dead god. You learn early that the island isn't a home. It's a perch. From the high places you can see Westeros across the water, a patchwork of squabbling crowns. They call themselves kings, the way children call themselves giants. Each ruling a slice, each believing the world ends at the edge of their banner. And you learn something dangerous in the quiet parts of your childhood. If they ever stop fighting each other, they will remember you exist. Level 2. The One Who Can Fly. Balerion is not a beast you tame. He is a moving horizon. The first time you climb to the saddle, your hands are steady because you refuse to let the dragon feel doubt. The second time you climb, your hands are steady because you understand. Doubt up here is gravity's invitation. When Balerion lifts, the island falls away like it was never real. The sea becomes a sheet of hammered metal. The wind tries to peel you off the world. You don't feel brave. You feel small. And then you realize the secret. Small is survivable. Small pays attention. When you land, men look at you differently. Not because you're a prince, because you're a message. Level 3. The Three-Headed Dragon. You are not alone. You never truly are. Visenya is disciplined. She speaks like a blade, short, clean, sharp enough to cut through comfort. She doesn't dream of being loved. She dreams of being effective. Rhaenys is danger dressed as joy. She laughs too easily, sings too sweetly, and makes rooms forget they're being measured. People mistake her warmth for softness until they see her in the sky. 3 riders, 3 dragons. A family that can't afford to fracture, because the world would gladly pry you apart and label it peace. At this level, you learn your first political truth. Power is not only what you can do. It is what people believe you will do if they force your hand. Level 4, the map table. Conquest doesn't start with fire. It starts with silence and ink. You study coasts, rivers, roads, and old grudges. You learn which kings hate each other more than they fear dragons. You learn which castles were built to survive men, not the sky. You don't need to win every battle. You need to teach the realm a lesson so expensive that most will refuse to pay it twice. That is the real plan, not destruction. Demonstration. Level 5, the landing. When you cross the water, you don't arrive as a visitor. You arrive as a new rule. You build a fort where the Blackwater meets the sea, not because it's grand, but because it's central. A statement made from timber and stubbornness. You are not raiding, not bargaining for favor, not asking permission. You are placing a nail in the realm's table. Local lords come to test you. They bring pride, banners, and the confidence of men who have never seen something bigger than their walls. You give them a choice so simple it sounds insulting: bend or burn. At this level, you learn something that will haunt you later. Most men don't hate tyranny. They hate uncertainty, so you become certainty. Level 6, the first burning lesson. The first time you use Dragonfire as policy, the world changes shape. Armies gather like they always have, believing numbers are a kind of truth. They ride in lines and shout names of ancestors, as if ancestry can stop heat. From above, their courage looks like geometry. Rhaenys and Visenya move with you, and the sky becomes a courtroom where the sentence has already been decided. Fire is not heroic. It is not clean. It does not pick its targets with honor, it simply ends arguments. Afterward, survivors don't describe you as a man. They describe you as weather. And weather can't be negotiated with. Level 7, the castle that melts. Then you meet the sort of pride that built monuments to itself, Harrenhal, all black stone and arrogant height. A fortress made to tell the world, nothing can take me. You prove it wrong in minutes. Not with a siege. Not with a breach. With a decision from the sky. Stone cracks. Towers glow. Men die without ever touching a sword. It is efficient. It is horrifying. It is unforgettable. and you learn the sharpest lesson of your life. Once you show them what you can do, you can never unshow it. Level 8, the Kneelers. Not all victories come with screams. Some arrive in quiet. Torrhen Stark rides south and looks at your dragons the way a wise man looks at a flood, not as an enemy to be fought, but as a reality to be survived. When he kneels, you feel something strange relief maybe. Not because you wanted mercy to be your legacy, but because every battle you avoid preserves the thing you're trying to build. A realm that can continue after you stop burning. You take kneelers when you can. You accept oaths like bricks. You start assembling a kingdom out of surrendered pride. You learn that fear can open the door, but only structure keeps it from swinging shut again. Level 9, the Chair of Swords. At some point, you understand you can't rule from a dragon's back forever. You need a symbol heavier than any crown. So you gather the surrendered blades and forge them into a throne that looks less like furniture and more like mourning. You sit on it and feel the truth beneath the metal. This chair isn't comfort. It's a promise. I remember who resisted. You create a court. You receive petitions. You settle disputes that would bore a warrior and consume a king. You learn to speak in laws instead of threats, because threats lose power when they become routine. You build the King's Guard so protection becomes an institution, not a favor. This level teaches you the secret nobody sings about. Conquest is fast. Governing is endless. Level 10, the war that refuses to end. And then there is Dorne. Not a kingdom that stands in neat lines, but a land that disappears when you approach. No proud army waiting to be burned. No single castle whose fall ends the fight. Just heat, sand, ambush, and refusal. Your dragons can destroy cities. They cannot burn defiance out of a people who have made defiance their shelter. Then tragedy finds you the way it finds all conquerors, through the one thing you can't command. Rhaenys falls. Meraxes dies. The sky loses a voice. For the first time, your power doesn't feel like certainty. It feels like a debt you can't repay. You learn the cruelest truth a ruler can learn. Some losses don't teach lessons. They only take. Level 11, the King After Fire. After enough burning, you try to turn yourself into something else. Not soft or just, lasting. You travel, you judge, you reconcile, you let defeated houses keep their names because you need their obedience more than their extinction. You build roads of order, taxes, ravens, courts, routines. You discover the strange labor of peace. It requires constant attention, like a flame that goes out the second you stop feeding it. You become tired in a new way, not tired from battle, tired from being the reason everyone behaves. Level 12, the father of the next problem. Your children are born into a realm welded together by your choices. Aenys, too gentle for the myths people expect. Maegor, too hard for the peace you're trying to grow. You look at them and realize succession is not a family matter. It is a second conquest you won't live long enough to fully fight. You can build a kingdom, but you can't force the realm to love the heir you give it. So you do what conquerors always do when they can't control the future. You build institutions and hope they hold.